Hi teams, and welcome to the Illuminate NextGen Challenge Introduction to the Topic session. My name's Jessi and I'm one of your facilitators from Illuminate Education Australia, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you and to share some of the context and information to introduce you to this topic. Now, over the past decade, digital technologies have been an absolute overdrive, and we've seen huge developments in this industry, with so much of Australia's workforce and industries moving to adapt digital technologies into what they do. And never before has there been such growth as there was during the lockdowns and our COVID-19 pandemic. With all of us being held at home, these digital adaptations have absolutely gone into overdrive, really pushing society, industry, and so much more into a real technological digital age. Now, this is so much more than just apps and websites. This is going into things like robotics, AI, Internet of Things, and so much more. We are not just limited to what we see day to day on our phone, but there is huge industry opportunities and growth happening out there. Now, we've connected with some amazing speakers from around the country to come and share some of their insight and experience in digital solutions. Now, these are people who are both working in the digital and technology space as well as the startup space. And we did a bit of an interview with them and have cut together some of their answers that they will share with you. And we really hope you enjoy listening to them and that can inspire you going forward. Now, your task for this Illuminate NextGen Challenge is to reflect on your everyday problems. Those might be the ones that you see every day in your own life, or going ahead into your local community, your state, nationally, or globally. We see so many things every single day, and your team needs to then design a digital solution for this. Now, this can be really simple local issue, or you could go on a great global scale. It's completely up to you. You can design a product or you can design a solution, the service. The only thing is that it has to have a digital or technological aspect to it. Good luck, teams, and I hope you enjoy hearing from our speakers.
So I'm James Calvert. I'm a lecturer at Torrens University, Australia. I teach design and creative technology. I also do quite a lot of research in that space. My research is mostly focused on virtual reality, the production of virtual reality, storytelling in virtual reality, and the theories that we use to support virtual reality. Prior to being at the university, was actually in animation and video games. For 20 years, I founded and ran a couple of different studios, one called the People's Republic of Animation, and I made animated films for sort of, short films, as well as sort of commercials and a lot of work in the video game industry. And I also made video games for a number of years, as well as a designer.
My name is Swiatkiwsky, and I graduated from RMIT a couple of years ago, software engineering, and I've during my time there, I got an internship with Leidos, which is the company that I work for now. So I've been there for about 4 years, almost 5 years, I guess. And yeah, what we do is Leidos is a company that does contract work for governments. Is one of their clients. So a government might have a project thing that they want. An idea that they want delivered, and we'll put a bid forward, say, yeah, we can do that. We can help with that. And then, so essentially the work that I do and where I fit into it is I'm a software engineer that is working for the government through Leidos as a contractor.
Well, my name's Anquetil. I'm CTO of Be Collective and Smart Systems. We're a group of digital businesses. We're focused on technology for improving people's lives. So Be Collective is all about a volunteering platform. Smart Systems develops products that are connected products, again, that look to improve people's lives.
Okay, so I'm Kate, and I run She Codes Australia. So we're at the heart of it, we're a coding workshop for women. And why I'm really passionate about that space is I was trying to teach myself to code about 6 years ago. no background in technology or anything really. My background was events and just got really curious. So just got really curious and tried to learn more and tried to do online tutorials and go to meetups. And I just found there wasn't anything beginner friendly and there wasn't anything female friendly. So trying to set about to sort of revolutionize what the face of tech looks like. So everything we do is very like purple and sparkly and fun, and really emphasizing that, yeah, tech is fun, tech is for everyone, as well as providing practical skills to connect women into jobs and really change the face of technology. So
digital solution, I was thinking about that. I'd say digital solution is actually an extremely broad thing, because digital just sort of refers to anything that's going to be using data. And nowadays, like basically all technology uses data of some sort. You'd be hard pressed to find technology that doesn't use digital information, data, information technology, that kind of thing. So digital solution can really be anything from, I guess what people would immediately think of is something like, Uber or Airbnb, like these apps that have come up, but it actually extends much broader to really, like I'd consider the internet just in itself to be a digital solution, for example, and drones and self-driving cars and virtual reality, like these technologies. It's more than just an app.
It lets us solve problems in new ways, being quite innovative in a digital space. And I think that means like bringing together multiple digital tools, for example, and combining them in new and unique ways to solve a problem. My work is very much in storytelling and in user experience. What I find really exciting is that we've got all of these tools available to us, and a lot of them are free, and finding the right kind of ones and the right combinations of things to solve a problem in a sort of innovative way. So, for example, I'm doing a VR experience which gives people a new perspective on climate change. We've seen the effects of climate change on our screens. We may or may not be moved to do something about it, but by using virtual reality, I can actually put someone in Antarctica, for example, and show them the effects of climate change in a way that it's more immersive and perhaps more meaningful than just simply seeing on a screen. By being in that space, they can sort of get a new perspective on things. And I think that's what's really exciting about trying to solve a problem using sort of digital tools that we have.
There's simple things like QR codes that we're all accustomed to now for check-ins. If we look back just a few years ago, checking in on our phones just wouldn't have been possible. Yet the technology that we have has really enabled us to deal with the situation we're in now with the pandemic, or help deal with it at least. I think it's not just about having digital technology; it's about finding how to use it in a way that helps our lives.
The creating stuff that really excites me. I think how accessible it is as well. So I think about this a lot in the women's space, that it really should be a career that's designed for women, because you can work from home, you can work collaboratively with anyone in the world. It's actually such a flexible career pathway. And when we've been chatting about in the disability space as well, like there's a bunch of things that are already pre-built into your computer to make things accessible, with screen readers and playing with contrast. Like the whole systems are designed to be really inclusive. So I think there is so much opportunity with digital solutions to try and lower some of those barriers that might exist for different groups that normally would get left out. But in tech, everyone's kind of more or less on an equal playing field.
It's exciting because you don't always need to have the most expensive gizmo to do something pretty special. And I think what's really exciting is that a lot of places are making the tools that we can use openly accessible, or maybe accessible through a subscription where you kind of don't have to pay these huge upfront costs. And it means that you can now, when I first started out, you would choose a 3D animation program, and and you would just choose the one, and you would pay quite a lot of money, and you would get a license for that, and that's it. That's the one that you had, and you became an expert at that one thing. But now you can kind of pick and choose what tools you need to solve the problem, and so it doesn't become so much about the tools, but it becomes more about the problem that you're trying to solve. And you can go, well, here's my problem, and here's how I here's the solution that I kind of want, and you can then research and find all the things that you need to make that possible. So if you wanted to make a game-based solution for something, you want to gamify something, well, there are plenty of tools out there to help you make games, and there's even things like asset libraries, so you don't have to do everything yourself. You can then bring in the work that someone else has created. So that's one part. I guess another thing is that along with that sort of democratization of these tools, there's also distance is no longer really a problem. So I can be here, I can be working with a team based somewhere else in the state or in the country or even overseas, and you no longer have to be restricted to everyone being in the same spot. You can kind of put together a really cool team of people no matter where they are.
Just in the last 20 years, things have just been scaling upwards like crazy. And I think what's really exciting is that we've got all these opportunities to firstly connect the world. So the fact that everyone's got a mobile phone, not most people, I guess, have a mobile phone, and that was not the norm, 20, 30 years ago. If they even, I don't know exactly when they existed, but they around that time is that thing. So we've become more connected, and there's been new opportunities to, I think what's really exciting is opportunities to improve quality of life as well. So an example of that is there's this organization called Zipline, which is using automated drones in Rwanda to do blood delivery. It's forget whether it's between patients to hospitals or hospitals to patients, or maybe even a bit of both, but it's one of those things. And in Rwanda, the roads are just terrible. So to be able to transport the blood is just not a practical thing to do by road. So it's been just really innovative that this organization Zipline has come up with an idea that they can use these automated drones to essentially do like commercial drone delivery of blood products or medical supplies.
Well, I'm excited about how communities can benefit from digital technologies. I've talked about the Be Collective platform and how that technology not only helps the individual, it helps the community, but it's helping provide a service as well. We have some large organisations like Meals on Wheels using our platform, and they're providing thousands of meals to people on a daily basis with the use of our digital technology. And look, we're very proud of that, but it's more about how it's helping the community, and that's exciting, and it's great to be part of that.
So one of the things that's coming out right now is self-driving cars. That's sort of on the news a lot. That's something that everyone's keeping an eye on, and the technology is evolving quite quickly, and it's becoming quite good, becoming quite powerful. But again, it's still something that is potentially dangerous, of course, because it's one thing for my Oculus Quest, like virtual reality device to fail. I was like, no, I can't play my game. But it's another for a self-driving car to fail, and then suddenly it goes and kills a bunch of people. So there's different stakes involved with these different things. So when data gets exposed, when the wrong people get access where they shouldn't, things can go very bad at that point. And a lot of these services that we use nowadays are collecting more and more of our data, and that's sort of something that you're either aware of and you're okay with, or you're not aware of, and you sort of get to have that blissful ignorance. But it's happening regardless. You're getting data collected. So when that data gets exposed to the wrong people, then that can definitely be something that's just showing when technology is going wrong, and that's something. You've got to be careful of because maybe some data is maybe not so important that gets exposed. Like I don't know if you'd really care so much about somewhat like a hacker finding out your favorite movie, for example. But if a hacker was to get a full record of your medical history, then maybe you're less comfortable with that being exposed out there. So
always having to test things. Everything's going to work differently on a different device. And I think the other thing that is always challenging is how your user is going to use your products. So sometimes you think that you're like, oh, this is the easiest solution ever. It's foolproof. There's nothing that could go wrong. And then a user goes and presses something weird and it breaks the whole thing. And you're like, how did they do that? Why did they do that? Did they not read the instructions? But your user is always going to do something weird. So trying to like predict what weird things your user is going to do and work around that before that even happens, that's super challenging too.
One of the biggest challenges is making the technology easy to use. Now, some of the most successful digital platforms have really nailed this. If you look at Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, they're just really easy to use. You can create content, you can post it really, really simply. And I think that's one of the reasons why they've been so successful, is because they're easy to use. I think another one of the challenges is staying focused on solving a problem and solving it well, not trying to build something that is everything to everybody. Pick a solution or pick a problem to solve and solve that one first. And you'll find then that the solution can be used in other areas. But if you nail that first one properly or nail it well, then the others will follow.
I guess, we use that app and website thing because it's kind of like they've become containers for all sorts of digital solutions. An app meaning anything it's a bit more phone-based and portable, and website is something that we can easily access. And I think within that we need to, there's lots of different things. An app can be social. It could be a social app. It could be more of a game-based app. It could even be something that does augmented reality or virtual reality. There's a few things to consider. Yes, it may be the container. We can do a website for that. But, a website can be a social website. It could be just a resource. It could be something that houses images or videos. And it's like, what are you feeding into these? The app and the website are just the containers, really, just the means to get it to someone. But what within that is the thing. I do work in virtual reality, and at the end of the day, it becomes a piece of software, essentially, an app that you can install on. Happens to be a virtual reality headset, but it's still kind of like an app. It's what we've done within that. We're telling a story within that app. We certainly spend a lot of time sitting at computers and visiting websites, and we spend a lot of time on our phone. And it's usually quite a personal, isolated experience. You're reaching out to the wider world through your phone, but you're just sitting there on your phone. I guess there's a lot of really cool digital solutions that exist out and about. When you visit places, how those things are integrated. That's why I brought up augmented reality before. When we go to places and we can use our phone in the context of that place and see some augmented reality, for example, or if you visit sort of like in some museums, there's digital experiences kind of throughout that which enhance your experience of that place. And at the end of the day, they're most likely, if you're at a museum, for example, and there's a screen with media on it, that's still probably just running as an app or a website, but it doesn't come across like that because it's kind of built and incorporated in a way where it's serves its purpose.
At Smart Systems, we're working with a company called WaterSource, and they've developed some innovative drinking water treatment technology. Now, you may not know, but there are hundreds of millions of people around the world that don't have access to clean drinking water. And at WaterSource, we're using digital technology to ensure that the drinking water that they produce is always safe to drink. So the water source unit itself is actually powered by a computer, and that computer is monitoring the operations of the unit at all times. It's making sure that the water that comes out is always safe to drink.
So definitely always talk to your customer. That's the number one thing that we always tell startups working in the space, is always try and connect to the customer. And are you solving a problem? Are you solving a problem that really exists? Because I think sometimes we get so carried away with like, oh my God, there's this amazing thing that we can do that like there's going to be so many features, and there's going to be so many cool buttons, and we've got so many cool graphics, but like what's the actual problem that it's solving, and do you need those features, or are they just nice features to have, and does your customer want them?
The first thing, as I've said, is always consider what's the problem you're trying to solve. Right? Make sure you've got that well defined. If you're not sure on that, then any solution you develop's not going to hit the mark. From there, you think about who you're solving it for. Okay, it's really important to understand who your customer is and why they would want to use your solution. And that will then allow you to think about how they use your solution. So going back to that usability, that'll be really important when you're designing and developing a solution. So if you can imagine how someone will interact with your solution, and that will help you understand where the problems will be and where you can improve and where you can make it so that it really does nail that problem.
I don't think anyone who's listening to this is short of ideas. It's taking those ideas and verifying those ideas and iterating on those ideas is how we go from good to great. There's processes, and that's the kind of thing that people who work in this space need to become masters at. So some of the things that you do, and some of the things that I've employed in the past is kind of rapid prototyping. A lot of the video games I designed, I was creating games for the phone. I would try and find ways to prototype those using physical materials, cards, pieces of paper, dice, role-playing, explaining to things to people. And you'd be surprised how many gameplay mechanics can actually be broken down into things that you can do physically, and then you work out, well, that was actually pretty fun. Well, that didn't work at all. Or if it's about sort of managing something, you can get people to kind of role play that, and then if it works, you can then implement it. And then even when you start creating something digitally with digital tools, you can even break that down into the small components. Okay, you look at your idea and you go, well, it's this and this and this. And those three things together, for example, will solve this problem. Okay, well, let's take each one of those and work out a way to prototype it and to test it with people. And it can start off being tested with the people close by just to make sure it works. And then you can expand it out and you start testing it with people that are likely to use it, the target sort of demographic for this. When you start putting it in front of people, you may find that, well, X didn't work so well, but Y was okay. But I'm also starting to think now that maybe the real answer to this is something completely different. It's not X or Y, it's Z. Your first step after you've kind of got a bit of an idea and a concept of where you want to go is to start testing all of those assumptions, because that's what it is. It's all just, I'm assuming, based on my previous experience or based on what someone else did, that this will work. Well, you got to test that, okay? Because it may not work exactly like you intended. Everyone's, at every level should be doing this. So yeah, it's really, that prototyping and focusing on the user experience.
I would also encourage teams to think about scalability. So think about harnessing the power of, like, one of the powerful things about digital solutions is the scalability. How you develop something for someone. It doesn't just have to fix a problem for one person. You could potentially replicate and scale that solution up and solve a problem for people all across the world. So think about something like Netflix. Netflix isn't just showing a movie for just their hometown or their family or something like that. Like, Netflix has worked out this way to solve a problem of, I want people to be able to stream content on demand, and I want that to apply to everyone in the world. So Netflix is really a good example of that scalability, where that solution is accessible worldwide, and it's just absolutely massive, the scale that they operate at. So
for me, it's think big, start small, and learn fast. Okay, it's not my quote, but it just stays true. What it means is have big aspirations, but start by building something small, and then test it with your customer, learn how to improve it, then improve it, then improve it, then improve it. Okay, so that's the key for me.
It never hurts to ask. So asking for help is seem as like being frowned upon, or like someone's going to think I'm silly if I'm asking for help. But asking for help is the best thing that you can do. And particularly in the startup space and in the tech space, 90% of people are willing to give you their time if you ask them. So definitely reach out to mentors in the area, people that you look up to in your community, your friends, your family. Just keep asking for help, and don't feel like you have to know everything, because no one knows everything. I run a coding program and I don't know how to code. So you can definitely do whatever you want to do, asking for help and surrounding yourself by people that are way smarter than you.
To become comfortable with making mistakes, using mistakes as learning opportunities. And I think it's one of these things that's really easier said than done. There's a song that I've been listening to recently where I really like a lyric from it that goes, "If you want to be a winner, you've got to learn to lose." And I think that's really quite powerful. And I'm still trying to internalize that myself, I'll be honest, because no one likes to lose. It sucks. It hurts. But I really do believe that, when you lose, when you make a mistake, that isn't a learning opportunity that you can take on board and use that to become better. And you can't expect your path through life to just be filled with success after success. It just doesn't work that way. So you've got to learn to roll with the punches, take a few losses, learn from them, and do better.
Okay, teams, I hope you really enjoyed hearing from our wonderful speakers and are really inspired for what could happen next. So we're going to move into a brainstorming phase of the innovation process and start looking into our problem. Now, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need either a big piece of paper, butcher's paper and pens, or a shared document that you can all work together on in this brainstorming phase. We've got a few sections to this, and there will be a What Now PDF posted onto Collaborate, which will step through each of the steps for you. So please make sure you read that very carefully. But the first two steps I'm going to go through with you now and prepare you to get going on your brainstorming. Now, the first thing we're going to ask you to do is find the core challenge. Now, the core challenge, you can find that on the resources website, either in the virtual binder, which you can download off the website, or if you scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there's actually a core challenge tab that you can click on. As a team, we're going to ask you to just read through that and get a really clear understanding of what your focus for this week is, and maybe highlight, underline, or pull out some of the key information that you think is really important. Once you've done that, you're going to move on to step 2 of the brainstorming process, and this is called the brain dump. And basically what you need to do for this one is we're going to ask you a question, and as a team you're going to write down everything that comes to mind. Now, the important things for this is don't filter. Remove that filter from your brain that makes you want to analyze whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, or this is going to be silly, and just write everything that comes to mind, and there is no talking for this phase. Take about 3 to 5 minutes to do this. Now, the question for this one is, what are some of the problems that you see every day, either personally, locally, nationally, or globally? Write those all down. From there, you're going to narrow that down to a top 3, and then we're going to dig deeper into some of those top 3 questions. But as we said, all that is in the What Now PDF that will be posted onto Collaborate, so have a look through that. All right, teams, good luck. We cannot wait to see your problems and even more your solutions, and we want to wish you all the best for the next phase. Good luck, guys.